If they asked me, I could write a book about the way you walk and whisper and look.
Joining us again, great to welcome back a man who's written another in his great series of thrilling kind of books. This one's called Minute Zero. We had him on several months ago when his previous book came out, The Golden Hour. This involves the same character. We'll find out about it. Todd Morse joined us by telephone. And Todd, good to talk to you again. How you been?
Good, great to be back on, Doug.
I think it was in the wintertime? Around January, February, wasn't it?
It was last fall.
Was it last fall? Okay. Time is flying. I thought it was more recent than that. But well, congratulations on the success of The Golden Hour. That did very well.
Thank you very much. It was great to see people really latch onto it.
And this book continues the adventures of Judd Riker. Is that right?
That's right. This is the second in the Judd Riker series. And the first one, Judd Riker is sent to West Africa, to Mali, during a coup. In this one, I've gone to a different part of Africa this time, and Riker he lands in Zimbabwe in southern Africa on election day, when a longtime dictator is being challenged in a very close election.
Yeah, just in case some people weren't with us last time, Todd was part of the Bureau of African Affairs, right, for the Assistant Secretary of State. Is that right?
That's right. I was in the State Department at the end of the Bush administration under Secretary Rice.
So you saw a lot what you write about, even though it's fictionalized. A lot of it's based on real things, right?
Well, I tried to draw the plots to be inspired by real events, to give it the realistic texture about what goes on inside the U.S. government during a crisis, what kinds of relationships we have with foreign countries, what kinds of infighting goes on within the U.S. government, and some of the people trying to make things happen.
In Africa, it doesn't get maybe the coverage it should here, but there obviously is a lot of turmoil there, a lot of unfortunate violence. So you kind of bring that to light in the story, but people don't really know what goes on there, do they? At least here, unless you really study it.
Yeah, there haven't been that many thrillers set in Africa. I saw that as an opportunity. There's a lot of interesting places in Africa, a lot going on that's becoming more important to the United States in terms of national security, in terms of economic opportunities for us. And so Africa is going to be more important to the United States over time. And so why not have thrillers set there so that regular Americans can have a fun read, but also be exposed to parts of the world that maybe are somewhat unfamiliar.
Yeah. Well, I don't give too much away when I talk about novels, so give a quick synopsis of what Judd Riker is going through here. What can the readers expect?
So he's sent by the Secretary of State to Zimbabwe. His job is to try to figure out what's going on with the election and to support a democratic opposition leader that's trying to unseat a dictator. When he lands, he finds that the rumors are flying of a military crackdown, that there's shady money pouring into both sides of the campaigns. And to make matters worse, the White House is worried about a uranium mine in the country falling into the wrong hands. So Riker's got to navigate both Washington politics and the different players in Africa, trying to influence the outcome, and to see if he can find a way to support the opposition leader in trying to depose the longtime dictator.
Yeah, that's a battle in itself, just dealing with our own government, right? To get things on track.
That's right. There are allies and enemies, here at home and overseas, and certainly all of my stories drawing on my own experience in state is that at least half the battle is within our own government to try to get people moving in the right direction.
Now, when you write about the corrupt governments in Africa, obviously every government you could say, be partially corrupt. But how bad is it over there? You hear all these stories of tribal leaders and those kind of countries, really dictatorship. I mean, it's pretty bad in some of these countries, isn't it?
Well, in some places they have pretty bad governments. Zimbabwe happens to be one of those that's really suffering from a terrible government right now. They've got a 91-year-old leader who's been in power 35 years and has really managed to destroy what was once a pretty thriving economy. But in general, actually, Africa's doing pretty well right now. Politics have gotten a lot better. The economies of most countries are growing pretty strongly. Right now, 6 out of the top 10 fastest-growing economies are in Africa. The continent's starting to feel a lot more confident. Certainly, we're seeing a new generation of leaders, new generation of business people, and for the most part, it's very, very optimistic. Unfortunately, Zimbabwe, where Minute Zero is set, is one of the outliers that's been going in the wrong direction.
It seems to me it's almost an untapped market economically if they can ever get, a lot of these countries can get the right kind of democratic type of government in there, small D I'm talking about, where the economy can grow, people can work, and that can flourish. But it seems like it's untapped. Do you agree with that? Or
Absolutely. Absolutely. We're talking about 1 billion people, 3 times the size of the United States, and just tremendous opportunities as people move out of poverty into the middle class. And that does mean that the United States government is going to get more drawn into Africa, both because of worrying things like terror groups that sometimes can operate in Africa, but also because our government's going to want to make sure that those economic opportunities are also open to Americans.
Getting back to the book, I know I've asked you on the previous time with Golden Hour, but in case people weren't with us before, how much of Judd Riker is based on you or what you'd like to be?
Well, I was an outside academic that came into the State Department, and that's also true of Judd Riker, but I think it pretty much ends there. I did want Riker to he certainly experiences some of the exhilaration and frustrations that I felt in government, some of the infighting, some of the scheming that goes on, but also that he builds some terrific relationships with a lot of heroes, and including heroes from some unexpected places, to get things done, and that's really the story. The stories are trying to have him, solve a puzzle, and do so by building relationships with people.
Yeah, well, it's another one of those great fast-paced type of books, and you really have kind of mastered that type of writing. I think people enjoy it, particularly, you never know what's going to happen next, just like The Golden Hour. And this one is called Minute Zero by Todd Moss. And Todd, give out your website again. People can contact you or get a hold of the book.
Sure. It's toddmossbooks.com, and Minute Zero is now available at Amazon, at Barnes & Noble, and at most local bookstores.
Great. You have another one in the works?
I do. It's part of right now 4 books. So book 3 is called Ghosts of Havana. That will be out next year. And as the title suggests, Judd Riker will be going to Cuba.
Great, yeah, a lot going on there recently, so I'm sure that story will be riveting as well.
I hope so.
Todd, always great to talk to you. Please keep in touch with Ari over there, the publicist, and love to have you back on when that one comes out.
Great, thank you, Doug. I appreciate it.
I'm Stan Brock. 30 years ago, I formed Remote Area Medical to help people overseas. But then we found generations of families in America isolated by poverty from the health care they need. Together, we can take dental, vision, and medical help to 1 million adults and their kids, right here at home in the United States of America.
If you'd like to order the book we're talking about, please go to DougMilesMedia.com and enter the author's name in the Amazon search box. Thank you for listening. Please come back soon for more conversations here at DougMilesMedia.com. This has been a presentation of Doug Miles Media, all rights reserved. You can listen to or download previous programs at iTunes, Stitcher.com, or Doug Miles Media.